Okay, so we are going to be manipulating data in order to create a Vchart. So under the Aware tab application in Eduphoria, we're going to go to Analyze, and then we're going to click on Quick Views. After Quick Views, we're going to select the appropriate assessment. Now here, we're going to look at unit assessments this year. We're going to look at 8th grade science, and we're going to be looking at Unit 8. All right, so now what we're going to do is the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to go down on this drop box on the right hand side, and you're going to go to print for data reflection. It's a very, very simple part of this whole process. Okay, you're going to need this in order to fill out your data reflection sheet. So we're going to go ahead and print this, and we're going to export to PDF, which it will want you to download, and it will download. Once it is downloaded, you will simply print this document. So it's going to look just like this. So it will print, and we're going to make sure that we're at the appropriate printer, and we're going to print 2 copies of this, one for your PLC binder and one to be cut and put in on your Vchart. Okay, so you would click print if you were printing. Okay, so the next file we're going to pull on the drop-down bar on the right-hand side is Vchart. It populates it itself, so we're going to get it a few seconds. Okay, now this is the document that you are going to have to manipulate. So when we go to print on the left-hand side, you're going to export to Excel because we do need to work with it and get a little bit more in detail. So again, it's going to download. Sometimes your computer may download in the bottom, there might be a bottom bar, but on my computer it's got this drop-down area for downloads. And I'm going to open that download. Okay, first thing it's going to say is, would you like to enable? Yes, we want editing. We want this enabled. Okay, my favorite box in Excel is this top left-hand corner, because once you click it, it formats every cell to be exactly the same. So before, all of this data was several, and we'd have to go across this several times. So now we don't have to. We have it all a little bit smaller so that we can manipulate this data quickly. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to insert a line above row 3. So I right click and I insert. Okay, this is basically because we're going to put student number totals, so subpop totals, underneath its category. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking these rows on the left-hand side and making them columns. So the first place where it says Rebecca Morris, that could have already said all students. And that's what our all student pop is going to be. So before I go there, let's rename these titles. So with all these numbers, we're going to call them SEs. Okay, now this column will be expanded and we'll be able to see this whole title, which is Learning Standard Description. The next one will need this column to be small, so we're going to rename it Number Total. This will be how many questions are for that specific standard. In this next one where it says Learning Standard % Correct, we're going to retitle that All Students. Okay, so we've just made our first row a column. So there's 109 students that were tested in this all student row here. So now we're going to write 109. We're making this row a column. The next pop would be economic disadvantage. So we're going to type in there economic disadvantage. How many students? 82. Here we go. Okay, our next sub pop will be AA, and there are 27 students. Your next will be Hispanic. There were 62 students. And let's move my recording device over so I can see more. Oh, I put that in the wrong column, sorry, underneath. The next is 2 or more races. And there are categorized 4. Now it's very important for you to know what sub-pop your students are categorized as, because if you have students that are categorized as Asian or another sub-pop and you do not think that you have those kids, there might be a mistake at registrar. And so those kids could actually count within the accountability system under another sub-pop and give us a few more points. So we want to make sure that we always know if this data is correct. Okay, our next sub-pop is white, and there were 16 students tested. I'm going to scroll down to C. And then we have language English proficiency, LEP for short. And there were, I believe, 15. And then SPED is the last sub-pop. And there were 5 students tested. Okay. All right. Now that we have our rows now titled as columns, we can start moving the data. So my first sub-pop is EcoDis column. I need to take the data from the row, and I'm going to Control X and Control V. That's cut and paste. AA, Control X, Control V. Control X, Control V. And again, and again. This is the tedious time, so Control X, Control V. And lastly is SPED, Control X, Control V. All right, so now that we have all of our information from our rows that they're in columns, we no longer need those rows. Go back. All right, so we're just going to delete everything below. Okay, if I can get it. Everything below are all students. So we right click and delete. Okay, now I'm going to move this one over. So I Control X, Control V because I no longer need these 2 columns. Okay, and I want to merge and center my title because I need a title for this. And then to make it look nice, I make sure that we have borders and that these 2 rows get shaded the same color as the other rows. Or close. Okay, so now I want to make sure that I am making the rows as small as possible. So if you highlight and double click on the vertical line, you are able to get the shrink, the minimum size the cell could be without interfering with the content that's in there. All right, so this column B, we need the text to wrap because if you notice, there's a lot of text here, but it only has 3 words. So we're going to wrap the text. All right, we're going to change our page layout to landscape. We're going to change our margins to a custom setting. I custom set everything at 0 just for purposes. We will be cutting this out, and I want to make sure that that information is translated. So and then one more time, hitting my favorite button, and then on this horizontal line, it will, hang on if we can get it, we'll shrink everything up to the smallest it can be size-wise. Okay, so now you are ready to print. Again, we'll file and print, and we're going to make sure it's in the correct location. Again, 2 copies, one for your PLC binder and one for to be cut and put onto a Vchart. That is simply how you create a Vchart.